Hello, I'm Jacob. You're watching the Prepper's Bunker Outdoors. I've been posting a lot of videos about the Boogaloo based on some personal experience. I served in the Army as an airborne infantryman, 173rd Airborne, deployed to Afghanistan, worked with ODA and PSYOPs a bit, and I learned a lot, but I wasn't able to put all of it into context until a little bit later. I got out, I got a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, homeland security, and domestic terrorism. And that's when I started putting the pieces together. Now, instead of getting a lucrative and enjoyable job in my chosen field, I decided to get a small house on a bit of land in the middle of the woods with an old truck and try and do things a little bit differently with my life because of the way that I see things happening, which has led me to attend a lot of survival schools, tactical classes, and other types of training so that I can improve myself to improve my survivability, because I realized even after being an infantryman in the military, training with ODA, doing a lot of really cool stuff, I could be better. Today, I'm going to talk to you about how you can be better. The things that you can do to try your best to be Boog ready. Before we get into that, this whole YouTube channel is made possible through sales at my website, beachandtactical.com. That's what I do now. I make rifle slings, a rifle sling that I designed in Afghanistan, as well as other survival items, and I am a affiliate of Palmetto State Armory and Optics Planet. So if you're going to shop there anyways, which I'm guessing you probably are, go ahead and use my links, and it will help support this channel. Now, there are a few things that we need to get into here, and for more background and information besides this video, I'll put a link up here where you can go check out the other videos in this playlist. We're going to talk about what kind of training you might want to seek out, because that's something that a lot of people are interested in and they just don't know where to get started. We've got to start with firearms. Who needs firearm training? If you are a gun enthusiast who's been training with your friend, whether he's Marine Corps, Special Forces, Delta, Recon, it really doesn't matter. If you fall under this category, you absolutely 1,000,000% need training. Maybe you are part of a government entity, the military or law enforcement. I fell under that category and did not want to get training while I was in the military. And you think that you as well do not need to go get more training. You 1,000,000% do. I train privately with a lot of guys who are military, former military, law enforcement, former law enforcement. And they do not come to training with the skills that they think that they have. I promise you that. And finally, you already have training on top of military experience and on top of actual trigger pulling and a deployment like myself. You still need training. I don't need to tell you that though, because if you have firsthand experience as well as competition experience and private training, you have already learned how little you know and how badly you need to go get training. So where are you going to go? From experience, I have to recommend Tactical Response and DTI with John Farnham. Absolutely top tier training. There are some other high-end places that you can go to. Anywhere that's decent quality, you can expect to pay about $250 per day for quality training. The next step after firearms training, I'll put it in the same category as tactics training. I don't know of many places where as a civilian you can get tactical training except for tactical response. You need small unit tactics and you need to learn how to shoot, move, communicate, and kill. I can't stress enough, anybody who does not think that they need training, regardless of combat experience or anything else, if you think that you don't need training, it's because you really, really do. If you had training, if you had recent experience, you would know how bad off you actually are. The thing is, the more training you get, the more you realize how much you don't know. Now, I put firearms training first because it's really the training that everybody thinks that they have, and most people really don't. You can especially tell in the comments by who's really, really confident. However, there's another form of training that I would personally say is equally important and that people are equally ignorant of, and that is survival training. For that, I recommend going to Randall's Adventure Training. There are some other schools. I believe there's Sigma 3 or Sigma 6. I haven't been to it. But the reason that survival training is so important today is even your most backwoods hillbilly hunters cannot feed or support themselves. I promise you that. The ability to perform while starving is extremely rare, even in the military. But the military is different because when you are going a few days without food in the military, it's because of leadership and competence. But you know that that next meal is coming. In any kind of emergency situation, the mental aspect is entirely different. Not only do you not know if or when your next meal is coming, but you also know that when you do get that meal, it's going to be a whole lot of work. When you can't go to the fridge and get into your little chicky nuggies, life is a whole lot more difficult. You finally trap some game, you finally shoot something, you finally collect some wild edibles. It's going to take you an hour to prepare it, and you're going to burn a lot of calories just to get that couple hundred calories. You're going to lose a lot of weight. It's going to be really hard for people who have never experienced hunger, which by statistical relevancy is the entire United States. Equally accessible, but often not considered, would be driving proficiency. Like survival and firearms, everybody out there seems to think that they are an expert. I've seen you on the roads in the rain and in the snow. You are not experts. I would say that I have not received any professional private training in driving. For what it's worth, I did receive an expert driver's badge in the military. But I enjoy driving. I'm good at paying attention, and I enjoy pushing my limits. If you cannot seek out professional training for driving, what I would recommend you do is go out to an old dirt road and put a brick in the road and drive and hit it with your driver's side tires on the way back. Hit it with your passenger side tires. Don't stop hitting that brick until you can reliably hit it with the tires that you want every single time. It's much more difficult than most people realize, and most people absolutely cannot do it even with training. Luckily, training in this aspect is easily accessible. Look up the SCCA. You can look at local autocross events, and usually not only can you go on autocross, in doing which you will learn a lot, but you can also go to driver's classes. This could be incredibly important for you, and if there is a boog in the US, if the Patriots get their crap together and we get ready for a clean slate, there's going to be a lot of people dying behind the wheel. There's going to be a lot of people dying in vehicles because people don't know how to freaking drive. This is something that is affordable and accessible, and if you look for it, you should be able to find it. But if you cannot find it, take up driving as a hobby, whether that's in your everyday vehicle or some $500 to $800 POS that you found on Craigslist, get out there and tear it up a little bit. It could potentially be worth your life. And the least accessible training, the most difficult training to find, to pay for, and the most difficult training for you to motivate yourself for is certainly homesteading. Most people live with a 9-to-5 job and they work their butts off just to pay the bills, and they buy ammo and maybe a little bit of training now and then when they can. So getting out somewhere and learning how to plant food, take care of animals, etc. is extremely difficult. I lack in this myself, even though it's a big part of what I do, because it's a lot of work and not a lot of people are out there doing it. And not many people are going to train you to do it. The seeds out there are GMO. You plant them 1 year, and without Uncle Sam, you ain't going to get them the next year. It's a hard thing, and it takes dedication, and it's not easy to do. However, while it is not directly tied to a civil war, it is directly tied to being ungovernable. The purpose of this video, the purpose of all of this training, is to be ungovernable, because if the government has nothing that they can take from you, they have no power over you. And until the entire freedom, liberty movement prioritizes in their personal lives becoming ungovernable, they will never be a threat to a tyrannical government. It's been a long time since people have prioritized being ungovernable and self-sufficient over having an easy and cush lifestyle. If you're watching this right now on the internet, chances are you yourself, while you should have been out fighting for the cause that you say that you support, have instead been sitting around, not fighting, enjoying a comfortable lifestyle, starting a family. At the end of the day, that might be, in some ways, the best thing you can do, is to raise your family with morals, try to become ungovernable, try to instill Christian morals in your children, and prepare for when some bad stuff happens. But at the same time, you probably shouldn't be walking around tooting your horn about how much of a badass you are, because at some point, someone's going to call your bluff. And if you have not dedicated yourself, you will realize, as you probably already know deep down inside, that you've been lying to yourself. And you ain't all you're cracked up to be. When an emergency comes, you will default to your lowest level of training. For me, for the best people that I know, we all have weaknesses, and that can be a problem. But that can be a problem for anybody. But the ultimate goal is to be better today than any of us were yesterday. So get training, prioritize it. Almost anybody in America can afford to train. Don't buy that pack of cigarettes. Don't buy that case of beer. Don't buy those NFL tickets. Stop being a slave. Take responsibility for your well-being, your health, and your freedom. Get into shape, another thing that you should train for, and be about it, more than just on the internet. I hope some of you have thought about something new in this video. It's certainly not an inclusive list, but it's a great way to get started. I'm actually looking to get some of my first SCCA events and classes over with fairly soon, and I look forward to it. The problem is, my entire life at this point, I'm known for firearms, knives, and survival and bushcraft. But at the end of the day, it's not really what I enjoy. What I actually enjoy, and what is going to be the easiest training for me, will be driving. But you cannot get lost in what you enjoy over your responsibilities. Your responsibility to carry a gun everywhere every day, no matter what. Your responsibility for your own well-being and your responsibility for your family's well-being cannot be overruled, never go away, and must be prepared for. Therefore, I'm known more for my adherence to my responsibility as a Christian father and American than I am my hobbies or passions. That's the way it goes. But if more people were like that, we'd be a whole lot more free. We wouldn't be in this position right now as everybody is trying to trade STDs and find new sources of inebriation. Thank you for watching. I look forward to talking to you in the comment section below, and I hope you have a blessed day.